Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. How exciting to be able to continue these in conversations right here on Oracle Media specifically. Tania, before we start, I introduce you. If you can just bring yourself a little bit higher in your screen. So maybe just bring your screen down a little bit. A very welcome to Tania that's joining us today. Tania, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And I hope you're doing well, Neil, and all the listeners or viewers.
No, I'm doing well. It's Friday, so I guess it's a long weekend. And tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm quite excited to be turning a little bit older tomorrow. My first lockdown birthday.
I took your last too.
Me too. For everybody that's joining us today, if this is your first time, we always ask that you do comment in the comment box. Tell us where you're from. There's quite a few people joining already. Tell us which city. Are you from? Joburg, Durban, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth? Just tell us your city. Tell us where you're from. And let's get that going a little bit as well this morning. Our conversation obviously continues next week. You've got myself on Monday where I'm talking all marketing. On next week, Wednesday, we've got the CEO of the Business Chamber of Nelson Mandela Bay, Nomkita, that's going to be joining us. And next week, Friday, starting our May sessions, we will have a new speaker on as well. And I'm quite excited to announce that for May, we have a few international speakers that has joined us. And to give you some insight there, we've got speakers from America, we've got speakers from Australia, we've got speakers from Bali, all joining us in conversation during the month of May, which is going to be quite exciting and growing this platform as well. We're going to announce those names obviously closer to next week when we start the May conversations as well. So some people joining us today, myself from the Friendly City, Lynn. Hey, Tania and Neil, looking forward to your conversations. We've got Marincha, my mother, she's joining as well, saying hello. Olga saying, looking forward to a legal talk with Tania and Neil. Warren saying hello too. And Belinda saying hello all the way from Benoni. For those who's joining us today, it is open in the comment box. Please do comment. And just a quick check, can you hear Tania quite properly and can you hear me properly? More on the Tania side, we're doing a sound just in another way because she's in a little holiday town, which where the signal isn't the best it can be. So Tania, I know you quite well because I've worked with you and we've known each other for years. But for those just joining it that don't know you, I know the high-profile cases you've worked on in South Africa. Tell us about it.
All right. Thank you, first of all, for having me, and welcome to everybody. I'm very pleased to see a few people that I know. Neil, I've been, I don't want to say privileged because of the circumstances, but I'm the attorney representing June and Barry Steenkamp. You all know that their daughter Reva was killed by Oscar Pistorius. Because of my work with that matter, I am currently the CEO of the Reva Rebecca Steenkamp Foundation. We campaign against the abuse of men, women, and children. I'm also very lucky. Olga here has also says she's looking forward to the chat with us. I'm very privileged to work with her on the foundation specifically.
Oh, well.
And then the other matter that I'm involved in is I represent two of the victims of Bob Hewitt, who is the world-renowned tennis player that raped young girls and also sexually abused them. And in fact, I've been opposing his parole. My client Olivia Yasriel came down last month to personally be present at the parole hearing. His parole was granted, and in fact, he's being released today. So yeah.
Oh wow! So quite a few high-profile cases there. Obviously, with the second one, I'm sure you're going to take it a little bit further and look into that as well, Tania.
Yes.
Then last night, President Cyril Ramaphosa has obviously announced, and he's done a sterling job. I must say, we may live in a third world country, but we definitely have a first world president leading us through this whole lockdown, through this pandemic that we are facing. And so he announced quite a few things, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions from everybody today. So we are going to be discussing that. What did President Ramaphosa say last night? What did he capture, and so forth? And Tania, if you could obviously give us some insight on that starting off as well.
All right, yes, I think many of us were glued to the screen. We must realize that these are abnormal circumstances. It's uncharted territory. It's unprecedented times. I think he's doing a very good job of trying to contain the coronavirus spread, and that is why we have this lockdown. What they came up yesterday with was what I think is a brilliant strategy, and that is to implement levels of risk adjustment strategies for the implementation of economic activity. Now, at the moment, we all know we are in level 5. Level 5, complete lockdown. The only sectors that are permitted are essential services, and there's restrictions on transport, as we all know, and then, of course, there's movement restrictions. So what he told us last night is that with the implementation of different levels, it will open up various sectors, and various restrictions will be uplifted. What we must all remember is that despite the upliftment of sectors, or despite the upliftment of certain restrictions, we must all still remember to wash our hands, to maintain our distance, because the levels that's going to be uplifted will not be the same in every town. They are distinguishing between provinces, between districts, between municipalities. So it could very much well be that you're living in one district of a province, but you're going to be subjected to a different level. And the reason for that will be to contain the spread of the coronavirus. So at the end of the day, Neil, it's in all of our hands, because the spread is by contact.
Yeah.
So if we remain indoors, if we abide by what the government is telling us to do, we can contain the spread.
Yes.
So I think it's important that everybody must make that decision for themselves.
But now, if you look at what the president announced last night, was various levels and restrictions and so forth. So, what can we still do? What can't we do now? Once we go to level 4.
All right. So, on the 1st of May, level 4, we'll go to level 4.
Yes.
What the president has said is that they will open up certain business sectors. All those sectors will still will have to adhere to certain health and safety precautions. One of them, for instance, is that they can only, on a stage, implement 1/3 of their workforce. They need to make sure that their premises are clean, that they need to make sure that they can test their workers, again, so that they contain the spread if necessary. So he also asked that where possible, if they can work from home, then you need to let your employers work from home. So and your employees, of course. So the transport restrictions is going to remain fairly much the same. As far as the sectors that are going to be permitted, what he has said is that the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, will be making further announcements as insofar as how these sectors, what the sector will be, or the business sector. And in fact, I don't know if you've received the information, but she'll be talking to us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock with the Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Ibrahim Patel. So it's difficult to say now what exactly the business sectors is. What we know for now, it is going to be open.
Yes.
What is very important, I think, for a lot of us, of course, is that exercise will be allowed under strict public health conditions. And by now, we should all know what the health conditions are. Keep your distance. I mean, it's pointless going for a job in a group.
Yes.
Then what a lot of South Africans are also very happy about is the fact that sales of cigarettes will be permitted. So, to the smokers out there, I'm sure you feel happy.
No, yeah, I think that we saw a lot of people on Facebook saying, I need to buy some cigarettes and so forth. But we also see a lot of people drinking hand sanitizer to get some alcohol. So what happens with the alcohol side now, Tania?
I don't have friends drinking hand sanitizers for alcohol. I think you should change your friendship.
No, it's not my friends. It was actually in the news where,
Okay, so yes, alcohol will only be allowed in level 3. The same, the deeds office, in fact, which I'm a conveyancing attorney, so the deeds office will only open in level 3. And then the other interesting thing that in level 3, alcohol will be sold, but only at specific times. So it's going to be limited hours. And the other good news is that takeaways will also be available again in level 3.
So we can get a KFC and everything that we need as well after that.
Neil, I think that the plan here is if everybody cooperates, they're giving us something to look forward to and to work towards.
Yes.
If everybody cooperates, if we're all on the same page and do the right things, it's in our own hands, literally, wash your hands. It's in our own hands.
And
for the levels to be dropped.
Tania, what would happen? What do you think would happen, for example, if Port Elizabeth had a lot more cases than Johannesburg? Do you think there'll be different levels, or would it just be one level for the whole country?
No. As the President said, with this risk adjustment strategy for this economic activity, there will be different levels. It will be there will be different municipalities, districts, provinces. And a committee will decide, taking into account, number one, how many infections there are, but also they will look at what facilities are to address these infections.
Oh, wow. So
the hospital beds and so forth.
So the risk is obviously that if a lot of infections break out in Nelson Mandela Bay, that Nelson Mandela Bay could be on the level 5 and Johannesburg could be on the level 3, for example.
Exactly. And what's important, what you're mentioning now, Neil, is that the levels may change. So you could effectively go down to level 3, and because of the infection rate, you could go back to level 4 or level 5 for that matter. So, so that is why I think it's a very brilliant strategy, because it just really means that it's in your hand to make sure that your level will drop, and it will only drop if you cooperate and do the right thing. Stay at home, people.
Definitely, I completely agree. For those who's joining us at the moment, we are busy in conversation. Our guest speaker for today is Tania Koen, a celebrity attorney for quite a few people from the Rivers Steenkamp and the Steenkamp family to quite a few others that she's mentioned when we started off. We're talking about last night's speech from our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, outlining what you can do, what you can't do, and also taking into account all the different levels as well. If you've got any questions or any thoughts that you'd like to share with us, please do so. Comment in the comment box, and we'll be able to go through it. I can see there's quite a few people watching at the moment. So, if I can ask you just to comment any suggestions you have. What do you think of the speech last night of our president? Do you think it's a good thing that we're going into different levels, or should we have ended the lockdown completely? We'd like to know from you. Please do comment in the comment box and tell us what you do think. Obviously, next week we continue with our speakers every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 o'clock as well. Tania, just looking at obviously what the president also mentioned last night, he's deployed an extra 73,000 or 78,000 troops. It's obviously to maintain this, that if we go back to level 5, that he can maintain order throughout the country as well. Now, one thing that I saw is that on level 4, you can go jogging, you can exercise. I see. Does that include your dog as well? Can you now walk your dog?
Neil, I must tell you, as I said earlier, we are in uncharted territories here, and if you've been following the regulations and the directives and the announcements, you know what? As attorneys, we were battling, and I must confess, I'm still battling to keep up, because sometimes the one minister will say one thing and then the other one will say something else. So at the end of the day, I cannot see why not. I'm sure it's included in the people that's going jogging.
No.
But, categorically, I can't say yes to you now because we've all seen what's happened when we follow the news,
Yeah,
so
that's...
we'll have to wait for confirmation, but I'm sure it's possible, going to be possible.
Well, especially if you can jog now, because that was one of the things
Yes.
that he actually mentioned last night. You'll be able to go out to do exercise,
Yes.
which I know a lot of people have been getting fines for and being locked up for because they're exercising in the areas as well. Now, I see a question that's come through from Olga. She's asking, might I attend a funeral in another province still?
Olga, thank you. That's a very good question, and I think it's very relevant. It's very regrettable and very sad, but it's something that we unfortunately have to deal with because we know what the effect of the coronavirus is, that a lot of people are going to die. So at the moment, movement is restricted. There's no interprovincial movement of people except if it's for transport of goods and coincidentally for funerals. So because you may not pass provincial borders, it's an exception that's been made in the regulations. So in stage 5, the situation is with a permit for interprovincial movement, and also in stage 4, of course, the same applies. If you have to go to a funeral, you have to, and then I'm talking about specifically provincial borders, you need a permit. You need a permit, you need to go to the magistrate or the police station, you need to take a copy of the death certificate or a certified copy of the death certificate, or if you can't get hold of the certificate, you might need to make an affidavit.
Yes.
And then you will be issued with a permit. But there's a restriction of the people that may apply for the permit. So if, for argument's sake, you're going to a funeral in Port Elizabeth and you're on Port Elizabeth, obviously you don't need a permit. But to qualify for the permit to cross a provincial border, you need to be either the spouse or the parent or a sibling or a child of the deceased. And then this is also the only exception to where, except now in business, where gathering of people will be allowed. And there may only be 50 people or less at such a funeral, which includes people that are working there.
Yes.
So yes, that's the situation with
Oh, wow.
yes.
So,
and then while we're I'm sorry, Neil, while we're on the topic of the movement restriction, the other restriction that was uplifted or will be uplifted on level 4 is that the borders were closed, so there was no international transfer or transport allowed, but now it will be open for the repatriation of South African citizens and, of course, also for foreign citizens to get them out of the country. Yes. So that's a relief. Coincidentally, one of my very good friends, her son is in Peru. So she was very excited to hear that her son's going to be able to come home now.
Well, that's so exciting stuff. I know a lot of people that were stuck overseas and also stuck here trying to make their way home at the moment. For those of you joining us, we're talking to Tania Koen, all legal matters, but we're specifically looking at last night's speech from our President Cyril Ramaphosa. If there's any questions or any thoughts, please do so in the comment box. We'd like to pose that to Tania and she can answer those questions. Tania, obviously you spoke about the deeds office that opens up in level 3. Does that mean that real estate agents can only start selling in level 3, or is that another level then?
And nothing prohibits them from selling at the moment.
Yeah.
And of course, showing how this is difficult, but fortunately with modern technology, I know there are state agents that use that facilities. Now they may still sell. Obviously, they get the agreement of sale signed, by email and send it back and so forth. But unfortunately, we will only be able to lodge and proceed with registrations in level 3. Now, I've thought about the deeds office opening for quite some time because obviously it's relevant to a lot of people. But I am wondering why or whether if you have to get a race clearance certificate so your municipalities could be open. But at the same time, it would mean that on registration, your purchaser is going to want to take occupation of their house.
Yes.
So I was wondering whether that was perhaps why the deeds office will only be open on level 3. because it would mean a lot of people moving house. You need an electrical certificate to be issued, perhaps, or a border vehicle certificate. So it would mean people will be making contact with other people.
Definitely. And would I then, as a estate agent, be able to, during level 3 or even level 4, be able to take people to other people's houses?
Yes, look, our movements are no longer restricted in the sense that we are housebound. Because on level 5, we're housebound. We're not, unless we need to go out to buy food or for emergency services or whatever. So that on the 1st of May will mean that, yes, you could effectively go out, you could go show a house. Because, when you look at the business sector, yes, when you listen to or go and read the president's speech again, he did say that, as long as it's only 1/3 of your workforce, those that can work from home can work from home. So I cannot see why the selling agents would not be able to show a house. But I could be wrong. We're going to have to wait to hear what the minister says tomorrow.
Then another question here from Carmen, that's asking, hey Tania, so lovely to have you in conversation.
Thank you.
When will all of the courts be open again? Maintenance courts was not seen as important in level 5.
Yeah, Carmen, it's a very difficult one because the courts are open for urgent matters. So, unfortunately, matters that were on the roll had to be removed from the roll or postponed or whatever the situation. It's just too complicated to go into each and every possible scenario now. But we don't actually know when the courts will be open because that's something that the legislature will have to decide on.
Oh, wow. So when do you foresee us finding...
Sorry.
Tania, when do you foresee us getting clarity on that?
I have no idea. I want to be the first to know, I must confess.
Cool.
But please remember, Carmen, urgent is regarded as family violence interdicts. You still can approach the court. And obviously, if you have to be arrested or so forth, that would be urgent.
A question here from Lynn that's asking, if people do fly into Johannesburg from overseas, will they be able to get a permit to cross provincial borders to get home?
Lynn, that's a very good question. Thank you for your question. Nice to see you. You know what? If I look at the wording, it says that and exceptional circumstances. So funerals are regarded as an exceptional circumstance. We had a situation the other day where a father and a mother of 2 children, they were in Cape Town, and the grandparents were in Bloemfontein where the children were.
Yeah.
And an interpretation of the Act says, or the regulations says that no crossing of provincial borders. So they had to apply to court on an urgent basis, and the court granted an order where they were allowed to collect their children. Obviously, because there were certain, they had parents and so forth and so forth. So Lynn, I cannot see why that would not, in your situation, I think it should apply. That I would assume that once they arrive, they would probably be in quarantine for, say, 14 days or whatever, and you'd probably be allowed to cross the provincial border. I know there is a case in Port Elizabeth, though, incidentally, of a lady that, or was it Cape Town? I'm sorry, I might be mistaken, where there has been an issue. But I think if you contact the authorities, they could make that exception.
Oh. Then another question over here. If a tenant still receives a salary at this stage and does not pay rent, what can the owner do? Now, I know there's a lot of tenants from commercial to residential say, commercial, obviously the business side say, well, we're not getting paid, and maybe there's some tenants as well that's getting paid or not getting paid, but I heard that it was only 16% of our rentals in South Africa was paid during April. So 16% is very low. So what would you say with regards to that?
Yes, I'm one of those that Okay, so we have to distinguish, thank you, Rach. That's a very good question. We have to distinguish, obviously, between residential and commercial.
Yeah.
With residential, your agreement with your tenant is obviously that you are furnishing or giving them the house or the flat or whatever to rent, and in that is that you are giving them beneficial occupation.
Yeah.
So while you are giving your tenant beneficial occupation, your tenant has to pay your rent. That is the agreement that you have with your tenant. The fact that the tenant, because the word that's doing the rounds is this Maya, an act of God. This coronavirus is seen as an act of God, which means I cannot perform. But the fact is, you, the landlord, can perform. The fact that your tenant perhaps did not get full salary that month or whatever the situation is, that's not a defense for your tenant. Your tenant must still pay your rent. Now, that is the legal side of it. Now the human side of it comes in. Now you can start, and that's what I've actually advised my clients, and that's what I also did. Negotiate with your tenant. You can either defer the payment or give them a discount or allow them not to pay this month and they can pay you off, But I would say on a practical level,
Yeah.
speak to your tenant. Unfortunately, because the courts are closed, you will not be able to issue summons at the moment. So you won't be able to take legal steps at the moment. You won't be able to evict at the moment. So that unfortunately means you can't pay, you can't take legal action. But enter into conversation with your tenant, they are liable to pay you. They are liable to pay you the full month's rent. Now, one of my clients entered into a lease agreement. She was going to take occupation on the 1st of April. But part of the agreement was that the place would be furnished with a fridge, amongst other things. And because of the lockdown, the landlord couldn't put the fridge in the house. Then obviously, it's not possible for her to take occupation because it was vital to her to have a fridge in the house. So what that meant is that she didn't take occupation and the landlord could not hold her liable for the rent.
Oh, wow. So, and on the commercial side, what would happen there?
The commercial side is a bit different because some, as we all know, some shops cannot open, which means that they cannot sell their goods. But again, the question is going to be, are they having some benefit? And if they are storing the products in the shop, they are having a benefit. It might be a small benefit, but it's still a benefit. Unless the contract makes provision for certain things to happen, and that's your starting point. You have to go and look at the contract. What does the agreement say between the landlord and the tenant? So that would be your starting point. It's going to be different for depending on your contract.
So obviously, the best would probably be to engage with your landlord, play open cards, and see if you can reach a middle point.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Because remember, sorry, Neil, the landlord still needs to pay lights, electricity, rates and taxes, and so forth. So the landlord still has a layout, and the tenants need to understand that. The fact is, there's no winners in this.
No.
So we need to enter into negotiations, talk about it, and see where we can meet each other.
Definitely. Lynn saying here, any thoughts on how older people are being encouraged to stay at home?
Lynn, I think I'm almost in the older category, but I think the mere fact that we know this is serious and it's dangerous. My mother is in her 70s, I won't say exactly how, and she lives with my brother and his wife on a small holding in Greenbushes. And when this whole thing started, I contacted my family and I said, please, I need to put my mother in isolation. Because my brother is a racehorse trainer. He still has to feed his horses. He's exposed every day. So my mother is in isolation. Why? Because I love my mother and I want her to come out of this thing. I want to see her. So I think, it's up to children to a large extent to chat to their parents and explain to them, this staying away is an act of love. That's the bottom line.
Definitely, I completely agree with regards to that. Also, look at companies are obviously being told that 1st of May they can go back to work. Now, as a company that is bringing the staff back to work, it opens up the company to liability as well. Where's the onus in terms of making sure that it's safe, that if the staff get the coronavirus, is the company liable for this? And you know, what would you suggest there?
Neil, it's a very difficult one. First of all, I want to remind you what I said right in the beginning. President Ramaphosa said last night in his speech that companies that open will have to put certain measures in place. One of them will be that they need to clean probably sanitize the working environment. They need to have screening tests available when the staff comes in. The staff will only be allowed 1/3 at a time. So that is what is envisaged. The employer needs to implement whatever he needs to, depending on the circumstances of the business, to ensure the safety of their employees. And that is why President Ramaphosa said, where possible, people must work from home.
Then another question here from Olga: does the general public have to wear masks when it comes to level 4 still?
Olga, you probably know better than I do, but my understanding is that President Ramaphosa wants us all to wear masks all the time when we go out. So you don't have to be sick to wear a mask. Why? Because we need to make sure that if somebody sneezes on us, or that we don't get the virus. Because the bottom line is that nobody knows whether they have the virus.
Yes.
That's why it's a silent killer. That's why it's such a difficult one, because we can't see the enemy.
So I think it'll most probably be a yes, especially if you're going to look after yourself. I see a lot of people still not wearing masks. I went to the shop 2 days ago, and I was a bit shocked with the amount of people still walking around without gloves, without masks, not taking any precautions. Especially, I was standing in the meat section, and a person literally came behind me and got something off the shelf, and I thought, could you not just wait a second? Let me just get my stuff and move away, and then you join in, because you don't know if I have it. I don't know if you've got it. Until you're actually showing the signs.
Yeah, and I think what's important to get back to Olga's question. That is the reason why President Ramaphosa last night showed us how to wear a mask, because you have to wear a mask at level 4.
You want to also show us, Tania?
I wanted to, but you wouldn't allow me.
Then a question here from Carmen, Tania. School fees. Do we still have to pay school fees?
Yes, Carmen, I'm very sorry. You still have to pay school fees. I know it's a very difficult scenario, but the teachers need to be paid. The schools have certain obligations towards their staff. I said earlier, there's no winners in this, and unfortunately there isn't. Of course, you're going to enter into negotiations with your bursar and the headmaster if your financial position has changed. It's a difficult one for parents to stomach that they still need to pay school fees, although the children are still at home. But yes, you still have to pay school fees.
Yeah, I think the main aim is obviously for everybody to still keep on paying stuff. I think it becomes difficult when clients are paying businesses can't afford to pay the staff can't afford to pay school fees and their rent. And
it's a ripple effect.
Yes.
Neil, sorry, before, you know what, I see we might be running out of time.
Yes.
But before I go, I want to just, people must realize that fake news is a criminal offense. And I cannot stress this enough. Fake news is a criminal offense. If you spread fake news with the intention to deceive somebody, you are liable for prosecution. So please refrain or double check your information, check that it's not fake news, because you could get a fine or imprisonment of up to 6 months. And then at the same time, Neil, when you asked me the question earlier about the employer, whether they could be held liable, if you know you have the virus and you intentionally don't divulge that information, and you get into contact with somebody else and they get the virus from you, you can be arrested and charged, and you could be prosecuted for assault attempted murder or even murder if somebody that you were in contact with died. So we really need to take this very seriously. We need to be responsible. We need to do what we are told to do. Wash our hands, wear our masks, stay at home.
No, definitely, I agree. You know, people do need to take it serious. Before we finish off today's in conversation with Tania Koen, don't forget this coming Monday at 3 o'clock. I know it's a public holiday. I will join you live to talk specifically about marketing, social media, and all of those things entangled with that. This coming Monday at 3 o'clock. Please do join me. Next week, Wednesday, we've got Nomkita, the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber, talking to us about how the businesses have adapted during the lockdown period. Then on the 1st of May, the Friday, which is also a public holiday, we are starting with our May speakers, which is going to be quite exciting. Some international speakers from America, Bali, Australia, joining us right here on the Oracle Media page at 3 o'clock, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. I'd love to know feedback from you about today's session. If you could please comment in the comment box. Tell us, what are you taking away from the session with Tania today? We'd love to know and get your insight and your thoughts around today's session. So if you could please comment in the comment box, tell us what you're taking away, and also any thoughts that you do have, please do so. I see Jackie saying here, I think shops should not allow anyone to enter unless they have a mask, and we should support those that have the best interest at heart. You know, that's quite true. I heard there was a spa in Port Elizabeth, I think in the Walmer, that is doing temperature checks before you go into the spa, and you must commend that.
Yes, they have to. That's going to be something that the employers will also have to do with the businesses that will be opening in level 4.
Belinda saying here, I loved your light-hearted approach. Thank you so much for your time and the long weekend.
Thank you, Belinda.
Carmen also saying thank you so much, Neil and Tania. Appreciate your time. I wish you well. Leishan adding and also asking a question. We'll take this as our last question while everybody is commenting and giving your thoughts on today's session. People are still being ignorant. I've seen so many people shopping without protective equipment. If they're intentionally transmitting the virus, won't that be attempted murder? Why can't the government fine people for not using masks and taking these precautions? Why can't the government come in and take any actions there, Tania?
Neil, I think in level 5, it wasn't compulsory.
Yeah.
So, but in level 4, it comes back to what Olga was saying. It's probably, you need to wear your mask. I think the problem that we have is there's just so much policing that needs to be done. It's trying to keep people off the street, trying to keep them, get them to wear their mask. There's people trying to cross provincial borders. So, the police might make an example of some people, and then hopefully that will get the message across.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Tania. I really appreciate your time. It's really been a fantastic month with all of the different speakers joining us, each person giving different input. And I'm also quite excited for the May speakers. Tell us if someone wants to get hold of you with regards to any legal advice or anything, how can they get hold of you, Tania?
They're welcome to phone me on my cell phone, which is 082 57 607, or they can email me on tkatt@mweb.co.za. So that's tcat with a K, double T at the end, at mweb.co.za.
And just that cell phone number again, Tania?
082
Yeah.
57 607.
I'm just going to put it on the screen here as well for those that would like to see it. And you're more than welcome to get hold of Tania for regards to anything on the cell phone number that is currently displaying on the screen with regards to anything legal. I will see you this coming Monday right here at 3 o'clock. I know it's a public holiday. I'm asking half an hour of your time on Monday to join me talking about marketing and social media specifically. That would be quite awesome. If you'd like to get hold of Tania and you couldn't take that number down, please do message us and we will supply you with that number, and you will be able to get hold of the like of that. Tania, you must have a great weekend.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you to everybody that listened today. Please tell your family, stay home, and wash your hands.
Awesome.
Bye, Neil. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. And I will see you this coming Monday at 3 o'clock. Have a great weekend and a long weekend as well. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.